I'm Eric.
And I'm Ash.
And this is The Hash.
With Eric and Ash.
This is going to be a stressful episode.
Oh, this is a good one. I feel like I've been really stressed lately.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
What do you mean, I know?
I don't know. I thought you were going to be like, no, you weren't. You were
No,
great.
I think you have been pretty stressed, if we're being honest here. Why do you feel like you've been stressed?
Well, okay. Oura Ring. Love it. But I feel like
And
sometimes.
What is Oura Ring?
What do you mean?
What is it?
Oh, it's a ring that tracks sleep, HRV balance, what else?
Body temperature.
Yeah, body temperature.
Whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but it's really good at just really managing or giving data on sleep and stress and then activity and movement and stuff like that. But what I think is really cool about it is that it tracks your HRV and heart rate variability. You know what that is.
Yeah.
I just know it's a sign you want good HRV.
Yeah.
And if you have bad HRV, it means you're stressed. So with my Oura Ring, sometimes I feel like it would almost get in my head where I was like, oh, I'm stressed. My Oura Ring tells me I'm stressed. My HRV is bad.
Yeah.
When I really was like not really feeling that stressed, but my HRV had been really, really bad. The last time I had a good HRV balance, which is not even optimal, was January. And we are, what is it, March?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why have you been stressed? What's going on? For all the listeners and viewers out there.
So I think I was talking to my therapist about this, and I'm just one of those people that's like, go, go, go. Like, me and Eric will go to the gym together, and I'm like, how long are you going to work out for? And he's like, an hour. I'm like, shoot, I wanted to only work out 45 minutes.
No, you'd be like, I want to work out for 57 minutes. Like, I'm just going to drive separately.
Yeah.
Like, we were literally there the other day, and I forget exactly, like, you were prepared to stay. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm going to bring my iPad. I can do this, that, the other. And then we get there. We're going into the locker room. We're going to our separate lockers. And she's like, wait, where are your keys? like just in case I want to fucking dip out, by the time you drove home, I would need you to come get me. And
I know.
so
I hate waiting. I don't know. I feel like I have this brain where I just want to be efficient all the time, and I don't even want to wait 3 minutes. I'd rather like drive home and back because it makes me feel like I'm being productive. So anyways, I'm working on it, but
we're working on it.
Yeah. I've been better recently.
It's been great.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just really trying to calm my nervous system. And by doing that, I thought I was doing all the right things. Honestly, I was like, I'm meditating. I'm walking.
What else? Why else are you stressed? What did you just finish up
my
for
flush?
2.5 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did a flush.
Deal.
Yeah. I did a flush, and it pretty much like detoxes your liver and cleanses your whole system. So the reason it was stressful for me personally, I think it could be kind of stressful for everyone just because it's a complete shift. You're eating completely whole foods. I cut out grains, dairy, alcohol, caffeine, and gluten and soy, and pretty much sugar.
Yeah.
Besides like fruit and stuff. But I'm one of those people, I don't like to feel trapped and feel like I have to do something a certain way. And so
Or stay at the gym for an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah.
So it was really stressful for me to have to eat the same way every single day. And then on top of cutting out, which for me personally, I was like, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. I eat so healthy. And it was not a piece of cake.
Yeah.
I was like, because I only have like 1 cup of coffee a day pretty much most of the time. But still, even that, the first day I had a huge headache. I had brain fog. The first 2 days were really rough. And then after that, it got better. But yeah, I like caffeine. Still haven't had any yet, though.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah, so that was really stressful, I think. And honestly, my HRV got good once on my last day, I think of that. Or maybe the day after.
Yeah, and maybe we should have prefaced this, but like, I think like, so I kind of just have some notes here based off like I did a course, I've done a couple courses with Muscle Nerds. They're awesome. And they talk a lot about stress and kind of frame it in a way that I never really heard before or never really thought of before. Like, I feel like people listening, like when you talk about stress, like what do you initially think of? Like you think of like, I don't know, like the first thing that comes to mind is like being stuck in traffic or like, you know, having to pay bills.
Stressed at work.
And like that is stress, but I love the way that they defined it as, you know, anything that brings physiology out of homeostasis. And so that can be, you know, like what we just talked about, like traffic, you know, paying bills, work stuff, but that can also be training. That can also be sleep or a lack of sleep. That could be nutrition. So like for you, you know, eating in a very different way. I think you were also just eating less in general, you know, like dieting. Creates a stressful environment. You know, life stressors like we talked about. That could also be like relationship stuff. And so I just really like the way that they framed that up, and that's how I've since looked at stress and tried to, you know, imprint on my clients is that like stress can literally be anything. You know, when talking about anything that can bring the body out of homeostasis, that's anything, just about.
Yeah. Eric's going to come in with the sciencey facts. I'm just coming in with the life experience.
But yeah, and so I mean, like we can take it a step further from there. So like, we got a wild doggy here on the couch.
What are you doing?
Hey, dude, sit down.
Lay down.
So yeah, I mean, this like if we think about, you know, the body and the autonomic nervous system, right? That's gonna have like the two sides of the same coin, kind of, right? We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So the sympathetic nervous system, you know, that's our fight or flight, right? That's our, you know, we're getting chased by a tiger. We want that to kick in to get us the heck out of Dodge.
So we can run faster.
Jump higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the PF Flyers.
Adrenaline. The what?
Isn't that a thing? Like the PF Flyers shoes, run faster, jump higher. I think it's before our time. But anyways, so yeah, that's the sympathetic nervous system. Again, that fight or flight. We want that to, it's intended to just like turn on when we need it and turn off when we don't. And then we go back into the parasympathetic nervous system where that's the rest and digest, where we're able to do just that, rest and digest, recover, digest the food that we're eating, and all that stuff. But what happens, and like I think why so many people feel the way that they do, struggle the way that they do with health and fitness, is because, you know, well, one, you know, our world
is stressful.
The world that we live in has evolved so much, and our bodies and our nervous system haven't. Like the rate at, you know, that the way that they've evolved, like we're not caught up with the world that we've built. And so, you know, instead of like having you know, tiger chase you, like luckily that's not a major stressor for most of us.
Hopefully.
On a day-to-day. You know, it's a little less frequent now. But we have more other stressors like traffic, like these bills we got to pay,
phones,
work, social media, everything, you know.
Most people literally wake up and look at their phone, and sometimes, you know, it could be fine, but sometimes you get a stressful text or a stressful email or something.
Or you're just taking in so much, like the way that our monkey brains are evolved right now, we're not necessarily built to comprehend or take in that much stuff. And so kind of forgot where I was going with that, but
yeah, there's just so many stressors, and our bodies have not kept up with.
And so yeah, and so I think you know, again, the way kind of muscle nerds they framed this up is that like you know, people are really stressed out, right, from all these things, and then they want to go to the gym because they're fat and they're unhappy about it, and so they go and they don't really know what they're doing, and so they go in there and they do training stuff that is super stressful, you know. Like I think guys are especially guilty of this. You know, they'll go in there, lift a bunch of heavy weights, and you know, think, oh yeah, I'm like, this is good. And it's not to say that lifting heavy is bad, but it's like you need the right tool for the job. And if you're super stressed out, which we'll get into that in a little bit on how we can tell if we're super stressed out or not, you know, you might be doing more harm than good. Or, you know, I was even guilty of this, like being a personal trainer in the gym. You know, you have somebody come in and they're doing their 2 free workouts with you, and you want them to have a good experience because you want them to sign up so you get a client so you can, fucking make some money. And so you put, a lot of times they put you through like a gnarly ass workout, and then they're like, oh, wow, that was a great workout.
Yeah.
Like really left it all out on the gym floor today. But it's like, you probably didn't need that. Like, right. It's about the right tool for the job and doing things that are going to bring you out of that stressful state so you can begin to rest and digest and build, I guess.
Yeah. I remember when I first, started wanting to work out, I still had no idea. I was doing crash diet, so I was eating low food, which is a stressor.
Yep.
I was not sleeping great. I would wake up at 4 a.m. to go to a 5 a.m. like Orange Theory class.
Which are super intense.
Yeah, no sleep. So that's stressful. And then the actual workout itself is stressful.
Yeah.
You're like full on sprinting. And like, I'm one of those people where I'm like, oh, the lady next to me, I have to beat her.
Like competitive.
Like, yeah. So it was so stressful. And then I'd be stressed out pretty much all day about the food I was eating.
For weeks and months on end. And then that's the other thing too, is like you just said, you were stressed out about what you were eating. And this is something else that Muscle Nerds really drove home, is that like your perception is your reality. Which is, dude, we got a dog just gnawing on a bone on the tile over here.
Jesus.
But your perception is your reality. So if the sky is falling and your world is falling apart in
24/7.
In your head, your world is going to be falling apart. But if, you could be under a lot from the outside looking in under a lot of stress, but you might be able to handle more stress or be able to manage it better. And, like I think you talk about this a lot, like the 2 twins kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So go say the thing.
Okay, so there's 2 identical twins. They look exactly the same on the outside. One of them loves themselves, loves their life, thinks that everything is amazing. They love the food they're eating. They know they're like fueling their body properly, obsessed with how they look. Then the other one hates themselves, hates the life they live. They're stressed out all the time. They're miserable. They're stressed out about the food. They look exactly the same on the outside. So it's like, which one would you rather be?
Yeah, which one would you rather be? And like, again, they have maybe the same physical environment, but their perceptions on it are different, and those are going to have different physical effects on them. So
I think stress is one of the most stress and sleep are like the 2 most overlooked pieces of your like health and fitness journey. People want to lose fat and they're eating low calories and they're working out a ton, and then they're binging and their body's just like in stress mode 24/7. And when correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I think, is if you're in fight or flight mode, all your body does is focus on living. It doesn't focus on digesting food optimally. It doesn't focus on allowing your body to rest. It's literally just like, holy shit, a tiger is chasing me. I need to fucking
and like
book it. So you're not going to be optimal in any
And I don't have a lot of like this stuff like memorized, but essentially like, again, let's say that does happen. You do have that fight or flight moment. You are getting chased by a tiger. Your body's going to stop digestion. Your pupils are going to open. It's basically going to shut down everything that's not necessary for like safety, right? It's going to start mobilizing energy like carbohydrates, so you have the actual energy to get going.
Epinephrine.
Yeah, adrenaline. Again, I don't know. I don't have all the like specific details on it, but
that
a grand, like an overview of this is like, again, the stuff to digest, rest, rebuild, right? All that stuff is going on pause, and so yeah, it's going to be really tough to lose fat, build muscle, get fucking shredded, and look hot on the beach when you're living in this state. And the thing is, your brain can't. Jesus Christ, Luna, what's done with this?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, so where were we? What were we talking about? Stress.
And
So your body literally can't tell the difference between
Luna, you're stressing your dad out.
Being chased by a tiger or doing a heavy back squat. Like your body can't tell the difference, and so
that's why I like there's, I think that it's important for people to find exercise that makes them feel good, but also realize like sometimes you're doing more harm to your body than you are good. Like I know people, maybe if you went to Orange Theory and you walked and you didn't sprint when they have those all outs or whatever, it's fine for you, but
Right.
it's all about like finding what works for you, but doing it in a way that's actually going to get you to your goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, muscle owners, they talk a lot about this too, like wants and needs, right? Like, client might come to you might listen to this, you might want to get shredded. You might want to have a 6-pack and to you it's like, cool, I'm going to go do the Orange Theory. I'm going to go do the super intense stuff. But what you might need in order to get what you want is a little bit different looking approach. Again, maybe doing, instead of like the Orange Theory, the super intense, the anaerobic crazy stuff, maybe you need a little bit the lower intense walking or incline walking or whatever. It's going to depend on the individual, but I like that idea of like the wants and needs. You want one thing, but what you need in order to get there might look different than what you want to do.
Yeah.
But speaking about stress, like how do you tell if you are stressed? And this is something that I do with my clients. I have them pick up a blood pressure cuff, and now there's a couple different things on here that I'll talk about that I don't really do with them, but I'll start with the things that I do with my clients. So I have them pick up a heart rate monitor, a Polar H10 heart rate monitor, and a blood pressure cuff. And so what you can do with that is, with the heart rate monitor, you can measure resting heart rate and heart rate variability, which are two really good indicators of stress. And with the blood pressure cuff, obviously you can measure blood pressure, which is another really good indicator of stress. So have my guys wake up in the morning, throw those things on, get a reading, and just ideally do that every day so we can kind of see where do you fall on this spectrum of the fight or flight on one end and the rest and digest on the other. And ideally, we want you to be on the rest and digest most of the time. And then if you are in a good spot and it's time to hammer you in the gym, we can do that. And then we take those measurements, and as soon as those measurements start to crumble and start to fall, cool, that's when we know it's time to back off the gas pedal and do the stuff that's going to bring you back to that rest and digest. And getting jacked, getting shredded, whatever you want to do is kind of that cycle of pushing the limit and backing off, pushing the limit and backing off, and that's how our bodies can actually super compensate and get shredded and jacked and shit.
Yeah. Love it.
So that you can do resting heart rate variability, which if you're not sure what heart rate variability is, I
was just going to say, what's heart rate variability?
The difference of time in between, or the variable amount of time in between each heartbeat. And it sounds counterintuitive, but you actually want a higher heart rate variability than a lower heart rate variability. But a resting heart rate, you want that typically lower than higher. So a higher HRV score, it just relates to being able to manage stress better, more recovered, all that stuff. So when we started the episode,
that's a good one. Do you know
the
ranges?
It depends because I have learned through Muscle Nerds. Again, I use a Polar H10 heart rate monitor and an app called Elite HRV, which measures it through. It has their own kind of scoring of RR intervals, but everything else, I think your Oura Ring, I think Apple Watches and that type of stuff, they measure it with a different scale. So I don't want to kind of go into that because it might kind of throw people off. But essentially, whatever you're using, the higher the better is where you want to be. There's some other tests too. There's a pupillary light test where you can have, you'll sit in a dark room for 5 minutes or so. And then you can take a light at 45-degree angle to the eye, and then you're looking for constriction. And you want that eye to stay constricted for about 15 seconds. So less than that is, a sign that you're overstressed, and very stressed people will start to pulsate instead of constrict. So that's one way you can kind of test to see if you're stressed. Another one is the salivary test. So, sympathetic nervous system activation inhibits salivary glands. So if you have a dry mouth a lot of the time, that's indicative of stress. Talked about resting heart rate variability. The stress in the gut. So people who are super stressed out, probably have some gut issues. So if you have some indigestion, some gas, maybe some diarrhea and or constipation, like
I know, I think a lot of people think, oh, I have a food allergy or I have a food something, when it's really you're just stressed.
Yeah, you just need to get your shit together. Stress and overactive bladder, stress and constipation. Talked about blood pressure. Yeah, so that's some kind of different ways that you can tell if you're stressed, because again, like the saying goes too, it's fight, flight, or facade. So like, you know, being stressed out and shit isn't like conducive to getting away from that tiger. So a lot of times our bodies will put on this facade, like, oh, I'm okay, like, and keep pushing through and just like
pretending everything's normal,
doubling down on that stress.
That's
and stuff,
what I think is interesting though, because I feel like being in the fitness space, I'm very aware of stress and that it's not great for you. But for me, like sometimes reading my Oura ring and being like, oh, my HRV is really bad, like I must be really stressed, but I didn't really feel like it. But I feel like it's just my nervous system was stressed. Maybe it wasn't like, oh, I'm stressed out about work or I'm stressed out of this, but my body was physically stressed.
I think that, but also too, like I think that's why it's important to like take objective measurements, like data, right? Like everything we just talked about, heart rate variability, blood pressure, weighing yourself, progress pictures, all that stuff's great. But then also the subjective stuff, like how do you feel? And like, so I have a watch too, and mine does my sleep, it gives me like a sleep score, does my resting heart rate and a heart rate variability. But I always kind of like, before I look at that, I'm like, cool, how did I sleep? Like, how do I think I slept before I let this thing? And, you know, even doing that, like it'll say very good. I'm like, oh, yeah, I slept I feel fucking good today. Like, I crushed that sleep. And so I think it's important to, like,
check in with yourself.
Like, it's not one or the other.
But I think it's still sometimes hard to tell, because I was in that stress state for a couple months without really knowing it. And honestly, these last couple days, like just comparing how I physically feel compared to the last couple months, I'm like, whoa, like I kind of feel like I feel lighter. I feel just like calmer. Like I feel like my chest doesn't feel heavy. My heart rate doesn't feel really fast. So I feel like sometimes
you also finished the flush.
I did. Yeah. But sometimes you can be stressed and not even know it, because it's not, like we kind of talked about,
it's not conducive to
it's not just
life. Like, and I feel like you see that a lot with like, you know, the single mom with 3 kids that works 2 jobs, like he's running on 4 hours of sleep, right? Like they can get up and do it, and they're also going to the boot camp workout class, you know, but they're struggling to lose weight, right? Or whatever. I think that's a good example of the facade.
That's like when like a lot of clients will come to me and the very first day I'm like, cool, we're gonna sleep more, and they're like, wait, what? I'm trying to lose fat. I'm like, yeah, I know, and you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, not even all the way through. That's what we need to focus on first, so you have the energy not only to de-stress but also have the energy to actually do things.
Totally. Love it. Any tips on stress management?
So I think, especially just because I'm personally been going through this recently, like I mentioned, I was like, you know, I'm checking it off the list, where I'm like, I'm doing the meditation, I'm walking, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm doing like affirmations. I was doing the things, but I was just rushing through them and not doing them with intention. And I think sometimes we can get caught up in that, which is, you know, it happens. Life is crazy. But I noticed when I finally, like my therapist said, you need to just focus on doing deep, big belly breaths to control your nervous system, as opposed to just like doing a guided meditation where I was like thinking about the future and daydreaming and whatnot. But when I really was able to like focus on my breath and just like really be here and now, honestly, over the last couple of days, along with finishing my flush, all that stuff, but I've seen a very, very big change. So definitely like meditation, but more than meditation, like not necessarily a guided one, but definitely just like calming your nervous system, deep belly breaths. It doesn't have to be for 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be for 10 minutes. You can do literally 3 to 5 minutes of this every single morning, or if you have trouble falling asleep, in the evening as well. And then yoga is also great for that too. I think the yoga is great because they make it an experience. And, you know, I go to the gym, I put my headphones on, I'm blasting music, I'm, you know, on my phone in between sets. But yoga, I feel like, is a place where you really just go in there and you take the class, and they focus on your breath the whole entire time. So it's a really great way to really help alleviate stress. And yeah, those are my two. I think those are the two biggest ones.
Love it. I'm just going to keep rolling on the muscle nerd stuff. The first one here is consciousness, right? They talk about, like, you know, actually recognizing that there is a problem, right? What is it?
Awareness is
the first step. Yeah. And like identify what the stressor is. And, you know, maybe... Again, like maybe you are that person who is really stressed out. You're walking around with the facade and you're listening to this podcast and you're like, okay, I maybe think I'm stressed. Like, what is it? And you're like, oh, you know, actually, like, I haven't talked to my dad in 10 years because we have this fight. And, you know, that's something that's unresolved, you know, trauma or stuff that you're like holding on to.
That's a whole nother.
Identify what it is, and then can you manage it or dissolve it, right? And the example that they use at Musclers, it's like, right, if you have like an annoying kid, like you can't just get rid of that, you can't dissolve it, right? So you got to learn how to manage it, manage the stressor and work with it, or build a bigger bullshit bandwidth. And then if you can get rid of it, like maybe you have a shitty car and, you know, and you have the ability to get a reliable car, and that's your big stressor in life, like, cool, do that. I think that's, you know, manage or dissolve.
Yeah, I love that.
The thing. And then, yeah, you know, like the perception, right? Back to the perception is your reality. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing if, like, you can't handle it. And again, the example that they use here is like, you know, if you grow up as like the token fat kid, right? You were the chubby one, and you keep telling yourself that you're the token fat kid, you're going to have a hard time changing, right? When you open up the fridge and there's the leftover pizza or the prepared chicken and broccoli, if you keep telling yourself you're the token fat kid, I'm the fat kid, I'm the fat kid.
As if.
You're like, well, yeah, time to follow the script, grab the pizza. And again, that's not to say that you can't have pizza and there's fat, but I think it really starts with that mindset and that perception of who you are and who you want to be. And you got to really step into that role of who you want to be.
Yes, preach.
Yeah.
And you can absolutely 1,000% change your story. I've changed my whole perception of who I am as a human being multiple times over the years. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's very doable. Yeah. Like, I've completely changed my personality, and it just takes you convincing yourself, truly, like being a little cuckoo in the head, honestly, just being like, you know what? No, I'm going to stop believing these things that I think about myself. But it's also important to be like, if you feel like you're the, you know, whatever you say, token fat kid, it's really important to kind of like go back to your past and think about where these thoughts and feelings came from. Yeah. So then you can kind of be like, okay, cool, I forgive myself for feeling that and thinking this way for this long. And then you can create a new story on yourself. Like, an example for me, I had someone tell me, like, when I got back from college, like, oh, tell Ash the camera adds 10 pounds. And this, I know, it's fucking rude. And I didn't even realize, like, I had gained weight in college, but I didn't really even notice it until he had said those words to me. And for the next, like, 5 years, until I changed my personality and reality again, I was like, I'm the chubby girl. I'm the fat girl. I'm the girl, like, no one wants to talk to me because I'm chubby. Like, my opinion doesn't matter. Like, I know. But that's truly how I felt because of that one comment. Yeah. And then I started to look for other
validations.
Yeah. And then I kept finding them because I was looking for them. And so then it just kept adding, like, fuel to the fire, because I kept being like, oh yeah, see, this is why I'm fat. This is why I'm fat. This is why I'm fat. And then it just kept going on and on. And
then you started saying, this is why I'm hot.
Exactly. Then I was like, fuck this. I'm tired of feeling this way. And I switched my reality. And again, it's not easy, but it's 1,000% doable.
Mic drop. Love it. I think the last thing I'll say here is, like, you know, just talking about, like, training, like, we're talking about managing stress, and all that stuff. And we've kind of talked a little bit about, like, you know, spectrums, right? And I think, again, shout out to Muscle Nerds. I think they're just fucking awesome. Go check them out. But, they just talk about everything on a spectrum, whether that's training, whether that's conditioning, whether that's nutrition, whether that's stress, whatever. And so I think, again, going back to like, if you are someone who is stressed out and you want to get out of that and you want to actually start to see progress, some things you can do in the gym, you know, if we look at things on a spectrum, right? We want to do the things that are going to be restorative in nature. So that's things like the lower intensity, longer duration cardio, right? So like aerobic cardio is great for this. You know, somewhere 60 to 70% of your max heart rate for 30 minutes or longer is going to be an excellent choice for this sort of stress management stuff, bringing you into a parasympathetic rest and digest state. You know, also like lots of different stretching, right? Different postural stretches and stuff that are going to help, you know, bring you out of this alignment of sitting down all day, and just some like, again, it's not to say you can't lift, but, you know, if you are going to do the like higher rep stuff, really focusing on the contraction, resting between sets, and not doing the stuff like, you know, super heavy, like anything, right? Like, you know, if you're someone who's trying to lose fat, you're super stressed out, you don't need to 1 rep max your, you know, your back squat, your deadlift, your bench press. And if there's one thing that you want to definitely avoid if you are super stressed out, if you have high blood pressure, all that stuff, it's super heavy leg press. That is a recipe for an ambulance trip to the hospital, potentially heart attack. So be careful out there. And if you don't know where to get started, link down in the description to apply for coaching for Eric if you're the fellas, and
Ashley. Oh my gosh, this dog.
And if you're the dog, you know, hit up Luna. She's going fucking crazy right now.
Yeah. Ew, can you not?
Anything else?
No. I think that covers it.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This is episode 10. Wow, double digits.
Yeah.
Catching
on the next one.
Peace.
Oh my God,
Luna, you are... What the fuck is wrong with you?
Walk you